Hi Shopify sellers, this is 𝗧𝗛𝗓 from LedgerGurus. I am so excited to be here today and to share with you a couple questions that we often hear about Shopify and sellers' responsibility when it comes to sales tax. And I'm going to walk you through how to find the report you need to understand sales tax obligations as a Shopify seller. Before I dive in, I just want to encourage all of you to subscribe to our channel so you get the most updated and accurate accounting tips and advice. Okay, so we have lots of clients with that are selling on Shopify, and Shopify is a great selling platform, and we get questions from them about sales tax all the time. So before I dive into the actual report, I just want to address a couple key questions that we've encountered a lot. So the first one is, lots of sellers are wondering if Shopify is responsible for collecting and remitting sales tax to different states. And the answer is no. Shopify is not like Amazon. It's not a marketplace facilitator. So it doesn't automatically collect and remit sales tax to the states. You have to manually set it up yourself. And we have a video on how to do that. And you have to determine where you have Nexus, and that's where you will need to register and report to the states. To learn more about determining where you have Nexus and whether you need a seller's permit, please refer to this other video that we've done and leave us any questions that you might have. Okay, so I'm now gonna switch over and share my computer screen so I can walk you through where to download the reports, and then I'll walk you through the reports and just a few tricks on how to understand the report so you can determine Nexus for yourself and use the information on this report to do your sales tax filings. So this is one of the Shopify accounts that one of our customers have. So once you log in, you're going to be on this home screen, and next you want to go to orders. And then on this top right, you want to click on export. So depending on if you are doing a monthly filing or you want to review a whole year of Nexus, this is where you would pick order by date and select the dates. Today is January 14th. So if I am doing the return for December of 2020, I would want to look at sales from December 1st to December 31st, and then I click on export orders. For our purpose, I'm gonna look at the last quarter. So in case you're a quarter filers, then you want to look from October 1st. So you just click on 1st, and then you click on the month, and then you click on 31st, and then click on export order. And we can leave it for CSV for Excel. This format is great. If you want to do a Nexus analysis on all of your sales in 2020, you would go to the same place and click on order by date. But instead of going to October 1st, you would go all the way to January 1st, and then all the way over to December 31st, and then click on export order. The file will get sent to the email address that's associated with your Shopify store. It might take from a few minutes to a few hours, just depending on the volume of sale. And it might show up as multiple folders of export. This is the one that I downloaded the first time for Q4 of 2020, just for demonstration purposes and showing you guys how I utilize this report. Okay, so this is the report you will see once you open it from your link in the email. And let's expand all of these so we can go through everything that's on this report. So we can see the header really clearly. So name is the transaction ID number, and you can see it's duplicated because it's by item in that order. So this one, the customer Lauren, she bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items, and we can see also on here on the item name, these are all different items, but it's all for this one customer. That's why the transactions are repeated this many times. So it says whether it's paid or not, what time it was paid, whether it's fulfilled or not. If it is fulfilled, this is the date where it was fulfilled. And this part is the financial part. So I want to walk through this for sure. The subtotal column is what the customer end up paying for the product. And this is net of discount. So this $215 is net of the $116 discount amount. And then the subtotal plus shipping plus tax equals this total, which is $222.93. Matches right here. We can know that this is net of discount because if you keep going to the right, there is line item price for each of these items. And if we add them up, it's $332.20 minus the $116 will give you the net of $215.93. Okay, and then if we keep going to the right, this describes the item they bought and the pricing for each item, fulfillment status, which corresponds with earlier what we've seen, and then billing information, all of these. For sales tax purposes, we really want to focus on the ship to address. So shipping name, shipping street, and here ships to address 1, 2, and city, zip. Right here, instead of state, Shopify calls it shipping province because if it's to like an international location, lots of other countries use province instead of state, and country. So this ship to column AP is really, really important when it comes to sales tax filings because this is showing you where the customers are, which determines your nexus, which determines which state you're going to file your return to. So these are everything on this report. What we usually do to try to analyze this report is to run a pivot table, and I'm going to show you that so you can see exactly how to analyze this report. So a lot of these information, we want to strip them out. So we're going to add just a few columns. And you can add more columns depending on your need. But we usually would do a column to strip out the year and month. And then we'll do a month, year combined. And it'll all make sense in a little bit, I promise. And then we'll do a calculated order number. Because when you want to do economic nexus analysis, you want to know how many transactions you have into each state. On column AP, year, we'll just do equal year, and we'll strip out the year from the paid at information. We'll do the same with month, and we'll do this one. And then month, year, we'll just combine those. We'll say we want to show that it's December, and we'll want a space in between, and then we'll put the year on there. So it shows December 2020. Then this calculated order number, we'll use the if function. If this equals equals what's above it, then the count is 0, because if it's the same, then we don't want it to count again. If it's not 0, then it'll be 1, but sometimes we just want to make sure this always has a value. So if this doesn't have anything, we'll say it's 0. If it does, it's 1. Okay, just because these are our formula and modified columns, so I usually want to highlight them so I know that these are formulas that I added. And then we'll drag them down so they apply to every single order. Okay. So, and you can see like these ones, they don't have one. So it's using like this date. So we'll see that when we run the pivot table. So then let's click on this little triangle sign. we'll do insert and pivot table. We use all of this range. And then on here is when we can say, how do we want this to be structured so we can analyze it? So we have month and year, so we can filter by the date we want. And then we have financial status. And a lot of our clients want to know information by payment methods. So we can add payment methods on the filter as well. One other thing we can add is shipping country. So we can filter out transactions that are not US based. Right here, we'll just put it on the bottom. Okay, so these are our filters that we can use to manipulate data. And then on the row, we'll put shipping province. That's all the states. And then we need to put all the financial information so we can start analyzing them. So we'll put subtotal, shipping, because shipping is taxable in some states but not other states. And then taxes. We can put total as well, but that'll just be a sum of the previous three. Close this so we're not distracted. So this shows all the number of the subtotal, shipping, taxes, discount code by shipping province. Let's change the format so it looks cleaner. I usually select them all and then I just click on this so they look cleaner. And now we can filter this to get the information we need. So month, year, then we would want to select 10, 11, and 12. Then we don't want to worry about anything that happened in September. And we know this 1/1900 is really just for all the repeated orders. So we don't need to worry about that. Oh, sorry, one more thing, the pivot table. Let's put calculated order number. Okay, calculated. But then this, we don't want to show all the decimal points this way. Okay, let's go back to the filtering. So month, we'll just do the last quarter of the year. And financial status, we do not want anything that's pending. We've seen that with our clients that sometimes when it says pending, it actually never went through. So we don't want to include anything pending on our analysis or when you are filing, because those are not transactions that actually went through. So we want to filter out pending. Filter out pending. Just gonna write notes here. And for the month year, select the month you are analyzing. And if we have a whole year of data or 2 years of data, you can show like 2020, like from January to December, or you can say 2019. That just makes it easy to see, and that's why we added these columns. And then payment method, we usually include everything, but if you know that, like for example, some of our clients will want us to exclude manual orders. So if you want to do that, you can select all, but then unselect manual. But in this scenario, we'll just leave all of them. And then shipping country, this is when we will just select US. So then we don't see all the other abbreviations that we are not familiar with. Select US. Okay, so now it's a lot clearer to me now. We'll talk about Arizona. So Arizona sold $38,095 and collected shipping cost of this much and collected tax of this much over 414 transactions. And this is what you need to remit to the Department of Revenue in Arizona. And you can see like some of them don't have tax collected and some do. And this is all depending on your tax setting, because this business has determined that they have Nexus in Arizona, California, Hawaii, Illinois, Indiana, all of these states. So they turned on the tax collection setting in their Shopify settings. And that's why they are collecting tax in these states. If instead of filing for Utah, I want to know if I've passed the economic nexus in Utah from my Shopify sales, I look at it and I know Utah's threshold is $100,000 in sales or 200 transactions. Let's pretend this is a year of data. So I know 50,000 is not passing the threshold because it's less than 100,000, but 573 transactions is more than 200 transactions. So I definitely pass the threshold for Utah, and I should consider register and remit in Utah. This business, this is just for a quarter. So if we time that by 4, they sell about 200K in Utah. They've passed the threshold, and that's why they're collecting tax in Utah. And this just shows a total of this period of how much you've collected. And at the end of the day, you need to remit this $27,000 to all these different states that you've collected tax. And if I want to change it, I want to say, oh, I just want to see how much I collected in December, then you can just change the filter and everything will change accordingly. That's how you go from this document, add some calculated columns, and then run a pivot table to give you more specific information on your sales tax. One thing I do want to note before we exit out is to show you guys that there's a caveat to the orders report, because if you go to analytics and go to report, and then there is finances, go to finance summary, you can see here there's a returns. So at LedgerGurus, we also download the returns report to net it against the orders report, so you get a more accurate number of how much you actually sold net of returns. But this return has some limitations because it doesn't show returns by state. So we usually do some manipulation, and we create a custom reports to help us with that portion as well. So if you want it to be more accurate, reach out to us and we can for sure help you with that, and we can show you individually, because every Shopify account is different. Some can create a custom report, some can't. That's why I'm not going to show that process on this video, but feel free to reach out to us if you want to understand the returns portion, and we're happy to show you. Okay, that was a lot of information, and I totally understand if you guys have questions or a little bit confused. So please just comment below and ask us anything that you did not understand or need clarifications on. And if you have any other sales tax questions, we just barely updated our white paper on 10 steps, how it's called 10 steps on sales tax so it doesn't burn down your business. And I'll put that link in the notes as well, so you can always go back and refer there. Again, comment on the video if you have any questions, like the video, and subscribe to our channel. And I look forward to talk to you soon. Bye.